just a quick heads up for people who want to watch any of Chaplin's movies. There's some minor spoilers in this video, so if you see me talk about a movie that you want to watch, just skip to the next one. When you think who is one of the most important directors ever in film history, you would most likely think of people like Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, Christopher Nolan. But to me, I don't think there's a director more important than Charlie Chaplin. He is one of the most prolific directors and actors of all time. He was also one of the biggest actors in silent film, and it shows why he was loved so much, with a perfect blend of comedy and satire and drama and romance. It's hard not to love this guy. So after I watched one of his movies, I decided I like this guy so much that I just want to watch his whole filmography. So he has 11 feature-length films. Some are amazing masterpieces, some of the best movies ever made, and some are mediocre. And that's the interesting thing to say, is I think Chaplin does not have a bad movie. My bottom of the list is a 5 out of 10 movie. It's just mediocre, and then a 6 out of 10. There's only really 2 movies that I would avoid, but I still think they're fine to good. That's how good of a director this guy is. So with all that out of the way, let's get on with the list. Yeah, this movie kind of blows, not gonna lie. A Countess from Hong Kong is not very good. It's so weird, and it's really sad how this is not just the last feature-length film he directed. This is the last movie he directed, period. It's kind of sad how, like, your swan song, your final movie to the world, is A Countess from Hong Kong. But talking about the movie itself, I actually really thought the first quarter of the movie was really, really good. I was very into it. It was really funny. Marlon Brando was really good. I was just having a good time. It was really cool. But at the halfway mark and beyond, I was just bored. I was so bored. I just wanted it to be over. It felt like it was 3 hours. It felt like its whole story should have been over by that point. It felt like it should have been a short rather than a feature-length film. And they really want to emphasize that you're on a boat, because they have like 16 shots of ocean water. I honestly think the positives of this movie are really cool. Like, Marlon Brando's performance was pretty good. I thought the first quarter of the movie was great. It was really funny. It still was pretty funny throughout. There was a guy in it who looked a lot like Chaplin, then I figured out it was actually his son, Sidney Chaplin, which I thought that was pretty funny, actually. But I don't have much to say on this movie. It's very mediocre. I would never rewatch this movie. Not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's not that great either. Finally, the first Chaplin movie in this list that he actually stars in. But it's basically about this European monarch king who comes to New York and loses all of his money. I thought the first half was pretty cool, to where he's basically like becoming a brand, having like marketing products and stuff just to get money. Second act, don't even remember anything. I don't remember any of that at all. And third act was this plot where this kid has these communist parents and they get thrown in jail, and he just basically lives with the monarch in his house. And it was basically Chaplin saying that he's not a communist, but he thinks it'd be fine if other people are. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty fine, I guess, but was it worth it when the movie didn't come out for another 20 years? From finished filming in 1957, and it was only released in America until 1977 because of everything that was happening at the time. Because it also, I think, got him kicked out from America. Honestly, it's fine. I don't even want to talk about it any longer. It's fine. Moving on. Now we're in the great movies, and Monsieur Verdoux is no exception. It's about the sociopathic banker Henry Verdoux, where he gets fired from banking And so he makes money by marrying ladies, killing them, and takes their money. It's a crazy plot, but it's basically kind of like a love story for Chaplin, like his normal love story, but if it was like reversed. So where instead of doing it out of love, he's doing it out of a malicious intent. And I think that's actually a cool change of pace when I've watched so many of those types of stories from Chaplin's movies for a while until I watched this. And yeah, I definitely say it's really good. It's really good. Now, is it anywhere near as good as The Great Dictator, which was the last movie he made before this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This Great Dictator is way better than Monsieur Verdoux. But at least this has a very interesting tone it goes with. There's not a lot of comedy in it at all. When it is a comedy, it's a black comedy, very dark comedy. And I don't know, it does work. It does work. And I would say the ending bit with the courtroom and everything, really, really good stuff. Really good movie. Really good movie. Okay, now we have the last Chaplin movie that he directed, but he didn't star in. And this is one of his first feature films rather than his last one. And it's, I think A Woman of Paris is actually pretty slept on, to be honest. I think that's a really cool movie. I think it's a really cool movie. It's about this lady, I'll be honest, I don't even remember their names. It's this lady, basically a rags to riches story to where she goes to Paris, gets a lot of money, but when she went to Paris, she left behind the person she loved, and instead she is gonna marry this other person who's really rich, but she doesn't like him that much. She's just wanting to marry him for the money, but then she finds the person he loved again, so she has to decide whether to marry someone she loves but not get rich, or marry someone she doesn't love and get a bunch of money. And I think it's a really interesting dynamic with the film and makes it really stand out from the rest of Chaplin's filmography. And speaking of difference from his filmography, this is not a comedy. It is not a comedy movie. It is literally stated at the beginning of the movie, and it's really funny how they had to do this back in 1923, is Chaplin has an inner title at the very beginning of the film that basically is just saying, I'm not in this movie, and it's not funny. It's just so funny how, like, the audiences were expecting Chaplin to be the main character and for it to be a comedy, just walking into it. But then it's just, like, this really, like, serious and dark drama. And yeah, speaking of dark, there's some crazy places this movie goes, and I was not expecting it, and it surprised me. I really appreciate it for that. This is a very slept-on Chaplin movie that, if you're a fan of his films and haven't watched it already, definitely watch it. It's really, really good. Right, now we're in his amazing movies. These are the 8 out of 10s and up. Like, we're already there, and we're only at number 7, and we're already at that high. He's seriously one of the best directors out there. And the kid is really good. The kid's really good, I'm gonna be honest. It's really, really good. It's probably the most chill Chaplin movie, to where it's just lady leaves her child behind, and then Chaplin finds the baby and then decides to raise the kid himself. And it's just really sweet and wholesome, and it's just them doing antics. It's just Chaplin with a 5-year-old kid. What more do you want? I thought it was really cool messaging on how family is just, it doesn't have to be people you're related to. It can be just like the person you grew up with, like how the kid himself likes Chaplin more than his actual mom because he didn't grow up with his mom. He grew up with Chaplin and he loves him. And I thought that was just really, really sweet. And the scene where they're trying to take him away from Chaplin was honestly like so heartbreaking and sad. This is a masterpiece. It's really, really good. I definitely think this is my hottest take on this list because I used to adore City Lights. I used to think, just like everyone else, this is like one of the best movies ever made. Absolutely loved it. But then I rewatched it and then I was like, maybe this isn't as good as I remember it, because man, it was a downfall. Now don't get me wrong, this is still like an amazing movie. That's how good it is. But it's Chaplin falling in love with a blind girl, and he is able to help her with her needs because he is friends with a rich guy, but he's only friends with him when the rich guy is drunk. Yeah, that's just a wild premise, I'm gonna be honest. If you heard that premise and you're like, I don't think I've heard of a movie like that, yeah, I agree. And it's the interesting thing is why it went down for me is because I think the comedy is way less prevalent in this movie. Now don't get me wrong, It's definitely a comedy. There's the boxing scene is hilarious and still peak, but it's definitely toned down, and the drama is brought up more in this film than his other movies. And while I appreciate it, I don't know if I like it as much, because one of my favorite things about Chaplin as a director is he's able to balance comedy and story and themes perfectly. He's able to do it so well, and satirical, it's where those jokes are telling the story rather than the story telling the jokes, and I think that's really cool. But City Lights, again, like I said, doesn't have nearly as much comedy, but I think it gets away with it a little bit because it's just really good drama. It's really good, really brings you in, really want to see what happens next with these characters, and yeah, it's really good. Not nearly as good as I thought it was, but I still really enjoyed it. The Circus is probably Chaplin's funniest movie. This is a stark contrast to City Lights, which I don't think have enough comedy. This has so much comedy, and it's all about his comedy. Because in The Circus, it is a tramp who is poor and gets a job at the circus because he's unintentionally funny to the whole audience. And that's kind of like what this movie is about, is Chaplin as a director and his style of comedy and him talking about that, and I thought that was really, really cool. And you get some of the funniest jokes ever here, like the capuchin monkeys on the high wire act and the pony that constantly chases the tramp. Stuff like that is just like really, really cool. And the scene with the lion, the cage with the lion in it, honestly might be one of the best scenes in a Chaplin movie ever. It's such a Chaplin thing to do, and it's so great and amazing. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I don't have much more to say. This is honestly just a really fun time. Watch it, definitely. The soundtrack in The Gold Rush, fantastic. Genuinely amazing. Now, talking about the movie itself, amazing as well. It is honestly, it's just standard Chaplin. It starts with him getting followed by a bear, and then there's this guy trying to cannibalize Chaplin. This movie's crazy, but the reason why I love this movie is the end of the movie where Chaplin falls in love with this girl, and this girl and her friends say that they'll come for New Year's to his house, to his tiny little cabin, but they were saying it as a joke. But the tramp actually believed it, and he started preparing everything. He worked for so long to get the money, and just him getting heartbroken when he realized that they would never come. Honestly, it almost brought me to tears, as funny as it is. This silent film from 1928, I think, almost got me to cry. But it's just so sad. It's like he's so unapologetically nice to these people, and then they were just joking around with him and just leave him behind in the dirt. It's so sad. But it is rectified at the end, and the ending is really, really good. But yeah, you have some great set pieces in here. You have the cabin sequence, which is probably the definition of peak cinema. It is literally one of the coolest scenes in any movie I've ever seen. It's honestly awesome, and this movie is like 100 years old this year, which is really funny. So yeah, this is like a really, really good movie. Definitely watch it. Alright, we are now in the top 3. Maybe Limelight hit harder because I watched so many of his films before this. This feels like his farewell to his audience and everyone, because this movie is talking about how he's getting old, he's getting replaced by the newer generation of entertainers. And dude, the scene where the dream sequence where he's doing his act and he freezes because no one is in the audience, that's just like, that's tear-jerking moment. That is honestly one of the best scenes in any movie I've seen. That encapsulates everything this movie is talking about, and it's perfect. It is the definition of a perfectly directed scene. It is amazing. And yeah, at this point in Chaplin's career, the comedy has slowly died down, and he's mostly been doing these really long dramas. Like, Limelight is his longest movie at 2 hours and 18 minutes, and not once in that runtime was I feeling bored. I was into it the whole time, and I absolutely loved every second of it. Do I have gripes with it? Yeah, I think, like, the girl Chaplin gets paired with is really dramatic and really just being overly emotional for no real reason. Honestly, I don't have many negatives with this movie. It's so good. And the ending is genuinely one of the best endings in any movie. I think it's beautiful, and again, it perfectly encapsulates what this movie's talking about. And you can tell this movie was trying to be Chaplin's final film because Buster Keaton's in it too. They're just like this dynamic duo all of a sudden, and it's like, this is like a crazy, imagine watching this in the 50s and you were a big fan of those two, and they're together in this movie doing an act. That is like crazy level. That is like insane crossover event, and it's definitely one of the best scenes in the movie. It's really, really cool. Yeah, this movie is really, really good. This goes to show that even when Chaplin is really old, he still can direct a masterpiece. The Great Dictator is possibly Chaplin's most important movie he's ever made, and it shows the military satire on World War II, the satire on Hitler, the satire on Mussolini. It's something that cannot be replicated, and it is insanely gutsy that Chaplin made this movie in 1940 when America didn't even have a side yet, I don't think, in World War II, and he just made that, making fun of Germany like and Hitler like that. I think that's incredibly gutsy, and I think it's honestly so good. This movie's so good. It's also way past the time that a bunch of silent film actors were starting to get out of the job because they couldn't act as well with audio than silent film acting. And at this point in 1940, talkies had been around for a while. Chaplin was avoiding it for the longest time. It's just so great. It's so amazing how his first movie to have audio and dialogue is one of the best movies ever made, and it's baffling to me, and probably shouldn't have been surprising that he's just so good at it. He literally just transitioned from silent films to talkies like instantly and made a masterpiece. It's crazy. The final speech is genuinely one of the best scenes in any movie ever made. It is so prolific to this day, and is so important, and is so emotionally driven, and how him adding dialogue into this film made it able to where he could talk to the audience like that. And it was not Hinkle speaking, or it wasn't the Jewish barber speaking. It was just Chaplin pleading for this to not happen and start, but that sadly didn't change anything. Now, there was this whole thing to where Chaplin said, I think I'm paraphrasing here, but he's basically saying that if he knew the horrors of World War II and concentration camp, he wouldn't have made the movie. And while there is a scene or two that is what he said as naive, which I can definitely tell, I still am so happy that he made this film, because of course he couldn't know later on in the future, but he still ended up making one of the funniest and best military satire films ever made. After I said all of that on The Great Dictator, Modern Times is just Chaplin's magnum opus. It's just, I can't even formulate into words how good this movie is. It's the perfect balance between comedy and drama is astounding. It is literally astounding to me. And this came out in 1936, so there was audio, like there was talkies already happening. The talkies were already happening, and he only uses audio for like a couple things, being voices through radios and the gibberish song. Man, there's just so many standout sequences, from him going through the gears in the machine, to the very first shot in the movie with the sheep, to the gibberish song sequence, which is hilarious, to the very end when they're walking on the street, on the road. There's just so many scenes to just pick apart and just be in awe at for how masterful they were directed. And it's satire on how the film talks about like the Great Depression, the modern times of that, and how the tramp couldn't get a job anywhere because anytime he worked, everything would just shut down. He'd make the cops mad, and then they would freaking throw him in jail for like the 4th time. But honestly, it's also, the name Modern Times has a double meaning, to where he's also talking about the modern times of film with the talkies happening. And it still proved that he could make a masterpiece, and he still proved that silent films should not be forgotten. And I'm pretty sure he also said this: silent films can work because they're universal. Anyone can watch them and know what he's like meaning, basically know what he's talking about, know what he's saying, but he's not saying anything. While talkies, you have to have different languages and stuff like that so people can understand. But silent films, anyone can understand it. And that is honestly, why don't we do that to this day, honestly? That's really, really cool. But it's honestly, if you haven't watched Modern Times, like, watch it. Just watch it. You won't be disappointed. It's funny, it's sad, it's happy, it's everything. And the end sequence to where the final shot in the movie to where even when he doesn't have a job and they don't have a home, he can still get up and just walk down the road and be happy as long as he's with someone that he loves. Again, one of the coolest shots in any movie ever. Watch this movie. It is amazing. If you reached this part of the video, I want to thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you want to see another ranking of any kind. Comment down below if you want a recommendation of a ranking video, and I'll think about it if I want to do it. This is my first time doing a really big director's video like this, so if it's my first time, so I don't know if this video will be good or not, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, honestly, I would really appreciate it. Kind of just want to make more videos like this, more film related videos. I've been way more into movies than games recently. Hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.